Alright, hey guys, welcome back to another week of me trying to be profitable and earn a payout. And this week it was pretty grim, as you guys probably saw from the title, or I don't know what I'm gonna call it, but our performance has not been performing, if you catch my drift. So yeah, let's just not waste any more time, I'll just get straight into the trades. Alright, so the hotel room, only thing of note that I saw was this 1 hour fair value gap lower down, which we haven't filled yet. Looking at the low time frame price, I'd already retested the entry that I wanted with the 15-minute plus 5-minute order block overlap, also with this golden zone from the 5-minute high low. I decided to place my entry at the golden zone again because it was still a bit away from market open, and I saw during backtesting that when it's further away from market open, we usually can get a retest of the golden zone before price moves, and we did end up getting the retest a bit later on and started moving really nicely towards our bias, albeit a bit slow. That was for sure going to happen because it is bank holiday, and since it is bank holiday, I saw that there was some big wicks from the prior move, so I decided to have a wider stop loss, which was out of Narnia. I just gave myself a flat $200 risk using 5 contracts, and this stop loss was also so I could avoid a potential wick to seek and destroy my stop loss. Because of all these considerations, I felt pretty confident in the setup. Though after the macro hit, we did get a nice push down with ES showing that it was moving really close to the target, but just barely missed it out. I decided to move the break even since there is unpredictability today, and that ended up being a good call, as the next 5-minute formed leaving a large wick to the south side, which showed strong bullish power, and price came up to hit my stop loss for a quick break even. I did like today's trade, but there were definitely things I could have done better, like optimizing the setup. Even something small like just taking the small stop loss with more contracts meant that I wouldn't need to wait for price to run all the way down. I could just take full TP out where it moved my price to break even. Smaller pip trades makes it quicker to hit targets and easier to hit full TP, so I definitely could consider it, especially today, since the stop loss would have still been the same at the prominent high, which would have been the best stop loss spot anyways. Not every time it's going to be a decent setup like this though, with the stop loss being in such a good spot, so I have to take that into consideration when I take my next trade. But yeah, clean day overall. I'm happy that I followed my plan and executed without letting my emotions get in the way of anything. Alright, so the hotel room was looking pretty bullish today, with us tapping into a nice overlap of a 4-hour order block plus a 1-hour fair value gap, and this overlap was really strong, and we could definitely see some bullish power out of this in the long term. And there were LRLs to the buy side that were developed, so I considered taking longs if we got a nice formation past the previous highs, pretty much giving us a change in state delivery. And we were still in bearish trend on the low time though, so there was possibility that we could continue lower during the market open. And it was Tuesday too, which often trips me up, so I got the unexpected today, and something like a fake out with the buy side LRLs that pushed lower, but I'll see what happens. And I was waiting for a while for a setup, and I did see that the trend was still bearish, so I decided to trust in the low term trend and play into it. And I saw that we created a 5-minute breaker along with a potential 15-minute order block, which if it formed, I would be pretty confident in this trade. And we did end up getting that formation, and because of that, I placed my entry at the overlap, which was also overlapped with a 5-minute high-low golden zone. And it was initially looking really good as we got a nice candle formation to respect the imbalances, but price just continued rallying slowly but surely until the 12 AM macro, where price just shot up and hit my stop loss for a loss of 280. And for what I could have done better today, I missed out on the initial distribution move from the retracement with the 15-minute fair value gap plus the LRLs seeking destroyed, which I considered taking, but I didn't end up taking it because I was looking more for the moves towards the LRLs initially. And I missed out on a lot of clues which would have shown that I was in the wrong, like the wick to the south side and the 1-hour fair value gap overall respect. Also, the move down to sweep out some of the LRLs was a manipulation move, setting up the push up, which was the distribution move. But I still did like the trade I took today nonetheless. I followed my plan and I stuck through with it till the end, which is building good habits in my opinion. So yeah, ends of Tuesday. Alright, so the high time we had this 1-hour fair value gap below, which was unfilled, and we did fail to sweep a prominent high, so I was looking for perhaps some sells. And looking in at the low time we did have a 5-minute BPR that was developed, and also a 5-minute fair value gap below, which was within the 1-hour fair value gap and unfilled. We could use as an extra confluence for a target. There are LRLs to the south side and we can use as a target. My main play today was planning to be a manipulation move, moving up to hit the 5-minute BPR into a distribution move down, and that was the game plan I was going with since we were developing more LRLs to the south side. And I was waiting for a while for a setup to occur, and I wanted to see price tap into the 5-minute BPR because that was the nicest imbalance to hit in my opinion, and one of the most achievable. But price ended up wicking equilibrium and just ran down, and since that occurred, I didn't think that the distribution move could be bullish, and we ended up tapping into this 5-minute order block I marked out. And honestly, at the time I was still bound to the first trade where I was aiming for the BPR, but the trade was already starting to play out, and we also left the wick to the south side and started pushing up. And this is what I really liked about today. I told myself, if you don't accept risk, then you won't get nowhere, and that gave me the push I needed to mark market entry into this trade because I was quite confident in the distribution move. Market open hit shortly after, and we ended up getting a nice move up to hit my TP for a nice win of 210. And the trade was a bit smaller as it was on the fly, but I really liked this trade regardless. I trusted my intuition and it played out really well. And this is where I messed up though. Since we swept out the equal highs and lifted nice wick from it, I thought that we could still cash that original move. And from that, I entered the original position as the entry was hit, and it was looking alright initially, but then we were a permanent drawdown. I decided to remove 2 contracts at break even since there's no point putting all the green on the line, but afterwards price just ran up and hit my stop loss for a loss of 120, bringing today's total to $90. And today, honestly, I should have just walked out of the first trade. I think I played well with the first trade, and it was a nice mix of confidence and intuition plus experience from backtesting. And it was the second trade that was avoidable, which I shouldn't have entered on, as I should have recognized that the distribution move was bullish and I should just let go of that initial bias. Still a clean day regardless though. Alright, so the high time we were within these 2 high time imbalances. We were within this 4-hour fair value gap and this 1-hour fair value gap, and since we were within these imbalances, I was looking more at the low time to see what the moves were. And we had LRLs being developed to the south side, which I noted down and recognized as a possible target for manipulation. I saw that we actually failed to break past the recent high and had pushed down, creating a 3-minute BPL, which I liked, as I saw that we were also tapping into a 5-minute high golden zone range. And because of these confluences, I decided to enter into this trade, and initially it was looking really good with us pushing down further, but I definitely did see that we could accumulate some more before getting a push down, and it did seem like the case as price pushed up and we started accumulating within this golden zone range, and price continued on this slow trend upward until it came to edge my stop loss. And you can see I did move my stop loss a bit higher as I allowed myself to risk more since I was confident in the setup, and I did see that the bearish SMT could form from this next 5-minute candle, so I wanted to survive till then. The price did just come up and stop me out for a loss of 400, and for what I could have done better, alright, we're back. I did a lot of reflecting through today, and backtesting went really well too. And whatever happens, I'll accept as I know that I did my best, and my time is coming regardless of what my current circumstances are. And looking at the high time room, we had these high time room balances above that which were unfilled and could be used as a target. Looking at the low time room, we had a few imbalances to work with, and the main thing of note was that we were developing LRLs to buy side, which we could use as a target. And I ended up missing this entry, which was a shame. Price just didn't come down to my entry point, but I was quite confident in this play, and we had plenty of good confluences backing up the trade. But keeping on waiting, I saw that we developed another overlapping fair value gap plus order block on the 5-minute, and I used that as a target for entry, looking for a continuation to prominent highs. And though it seemed like we were wrong as entry was hit, and it was a long and painful descent down to my stop loss, stopping me out for a loss of 400. And for what I could have done better, I think instead of entering into this trade, I could have just not traded as a whole, and as my target had already been hit from that previous trade. And it just shows that I'm still not at that level where I used to be, where I could walk away, you know, balancing the patience and aggression. But I'm glad that I learned this lesson and that this came at the time it did. Alright, so that ends off this week. And if you guys didn't notice, we've blown our funded account pretty quick, not gonna lie, but I really just didn't perform to my standard, which was really a shame. This week's, the first half I really didn't like, is the thing I thought was I was working hard, and sure I was putting in the work every day, but my mental just wasn't at that same level. It wasn't to that same standard as when I was on the combine, where I had the confidence to walk away and be patient. I had it in the week where I passed the account, but I lost it as I traded more confidently, which does feel like a canon event. But yeah, I've already come to accept it, and my mental's back in full swing, so I'm gonna come back even better. I know that what I was doing was wrong, which was being overconfident and entering trades too early, being scared to miss setups, which sounds so stupid looking back, but what can you do? You know, it's just part of the growing process, and how I treat my losses will determine how I grow on the journey. So yeah, just gonna keep grinding and backtesting and data collecting, and we'll come back next week to see if we can do any better. But yeah, that's about it for this week's video. So yeah, if you guys are interested, check out me and my friend's Discord. It's a chill place for everybody to talk and grow as traders, and we're all on the same journey to become the traders that we want to become. So join up if you guys are keen. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.